This is work I absolutely love doing, as well as my colleague Stephanie. And we're excited to share with you 3 ways to break through operational bottlenecks and secure your succession plan. So I'd love to kind of hear where everybody is zooming in from. I am actually in Sacramento, California. So if you want to just put in the chat box, tell us where you're zooming in from today. Ooh, yes, Washington, D.C., Moraga, Walnut Creek, Dixon. Love it. So we got a lot of California folks. Elk Grove, okay. Sonoma, fantastic. Well, I really appreciate you being here today and know that there are a lot of places that you could have been. And so thank you for spending a little bit of time with us today. So I'm just going to quickly go over our agenda, talk about the session description. Does this sound like you? Talking about some pain points that you as professionals may be facing, who we are and why you should listen to us. Busting some myths that a lot of business owners have regarding working on their business. We're going to dig a little bit deeper into a case study, do some Q&A, and then we have some free gifts for everyone at the end of today's session. So the question is, what do you do when you already have a successful hybrid financial planning business, and now it's time to prepare for your succession? So our joint client, Stephanie and I, is an LPL affiliated SEC registered firm that wants to position their firm for continuous growth while working less and planning for their newest hire. So the question is, how do you plan for and execute an operational improvement plan while you're still working in the business? How do you incorporate key processes to help run your business better? And then what happens when technology meets system improvements? So I have to ask the question, are you a financial advisor or a financial or risk advisor experiencing any of these pain points? Your practice is growing, but you're winging the management of it, and it's stressing you out. If that sounds like you, I want you to put yes in the chat. Or you may have workflows that just are not working for you. You're using your CRM maybe 50% of the time, and you're not really leveraging workflows in the way that they should be. Or you're feeling stuck in your practice and on the verge of burnout. Is anybody there? Or has anybody been there, I should say? Okay, well, you're absolutely in the right place, because we're gonna dig a little bit deeper into how Stephanie and I helped our mutual client with these challenges that they were facing. So who am I and why you should listen to me? So as Julie mentioned earlier, I have worked extensively in the RIA space, whether it was boutique, ensemble, and enterprise business models. I've developed thousands of workflows across these models, have coached hundreds of advisors. I have a certificate in personal financial planning, so I understand the innate intricacies of what advisors are delivering to their clients. And additionally, I write for US News and World Report and have been featured in a number of different publications. So now that that's out of the way, let me share a little bit about Atlas Park and what we do. We are a full service B2B practice management agency where we perform operational makeovers for financial advisory businesses. And what that does, it helps leaders unlock their growth plans and really accelerate revenue. And so at the end of the day, every business owner, I have to imagine, even you on this call today, even if you're working for another company, it's really, how do I get that operational peace of mind that allows me to do more in my business, avoid the headaches, avoid the challenges, and really start to systematize and operationalize the way I do business. So when it comes to transforming advisory businesses, right, we talk a lot about working in the business, which is all that client-facing stuff, the fun stuff. But then what about working on your business? And what does that actually look like? And so if you would imagine for a moment your business, your practice as being a house, and every room in your business house has a function, has a purpose. And as you think about practice management, it really covers 5 key areas of your business. So you have your business strategy and planning, which is your foundation. And that's key because you want to make sure that that vision is intact So you're moving in the right direction towards your business. In my breakout room, we talked about vision and how that vision needs to be big, because at the end of the day, when we get to the component of human capital and leveraging teams, you want to make sure that your vision is not only big enough and clear enough that you can then communicate that to your teams and have them do what it is that you need them to do. Another component is business development, right? What's your plan, both short-term and long-term, to generate revenue in your practice? Optimizing operations, which is an area that I absolutely love, because it really means how do you systematize and really get the most out of your business in having processes and procedures to follow. And then leveraging technology, really getting efficient. And how do you set technology up well in your firm so that the technology works for you? I always share with my clients and different colleagues that I work with that the technology is only going to be as good as you program it to be. A lot of times we look to technology to be our one-all, be-all, solve all my problems. I just set it up and I'm ready to go. Well, you actually have to program it. And when Stephanie and I get into the meat of today's discussion, we're going to talk about how we set up our mutual client to have those right processes in place to then translate to their CRM. So now that I've talked a little bit about myself, I'm going to turn the baton over to Stephanie and have her introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedules to attend today's webinar. My name is Stephanie, and I am the Principal CRM Consultant for Stephanie Dannebaum Consulting. I've been in the financial services industry for over 7 years, serving in a variety of different roles, starting out in administration, through operations, investment management, and then eventually financial planning. So this well-rounded experience has really set me up for a great career as a consultant for RIAs. During the roles that I had with a variety of different fee-only and fee-based firms, I was kind of the resident tech expert. So when I decided to start my own consulting company, it was only fitting that I decided to help out on the technology side of the business, specifically with operations and the CRM software. Also, to support my career, I obtained my MBA and Master's in Public Policy from Mills College here in Oakland, California, as well as my Chartered Financial Consultant designation from the American College. And if you want to do the next slide, Camille. So who we are. So Stephanie Dannebaum Consulting is a full service consulting firm with the resources and experience of Redtail CRM as well as Wealthbox CRM to help you successfully implement your CRM, customer relationship management software, specifically in best practices, customized processes, as well as enhancing your data. So I will pass the baton back to Cameo to bust those myths.
All right. Thanks, Stephanie. I appreciate that. So let's just get this out of the way so that we don't have to worry about it when it comes to different things within your practice. So some myths out there that a lot of people may have is, I don't have time to invest in my business. I'm working with clients, I'm networking, I'm doing all these other things. I don't really have time. Or maybe my service offerings don't need any improvement. I'm fine where I am. Things seem to be going fairly well. I don't need to make any changes. Or that business transformation happens quickly. And if any of these resonate with you, I want you to put that's me in the chat box, and let's see how we are when it comes to busting these myths. Does anybody feel like they just don't have time to invest in their business? Or that business transformation happens quickly? Let's see. Yeah, Patricia says she used to. Nancy, sometimes. Yeah, and I think that is something that happens to a lot of business owners, right? When you think about the priorities that we set with working with our clients, but also know that your business requires and should be paid attention to on a quarterly basis, right? So that you can see exactly what you need to do to improve and enhance the way you do business and how you actually serve your clients so you can create that exceptional client experience. So let's talk a little bit about our SEC registered advisor who's affiliated with LPL. They have one senior advisor, one associate advisor, and then one operations manager. And so the question here is, they're successful, they're doing well, right? But they want to position their firm for growth, bringing on more assets under management, and adding additional staff to the team. The senior advisor who built the firm actually wants to take on less clients. He's probably doing about 90% of the client-facing work now, and he's tired of it. He wants to transition that to this newer advisor. And then the newer advisor really setting him up to succeed the senior advisor in the next 5 to 8 years. Now, on the surface, this may sound like something, fairly reasonable to obtain, and it is in a sense, but there are a lot of process steps that we got to figure out in advance to get them to that point where they're looking to really transition the business in a successful manner where client service is not dropped, business continuity can continue, and the firm can continue to function in the way that they want it to. So what does success look like for this particular advisor? They want their infrastructure to be in place to support this transition process. So a couple of things, planning for succession. And we all know that when it comes to planning for succession, if you already have your next level leadership team in place, that actually can make your business even valuable, even more valuable, I should say. And in this instance, they're not looking to sell, but say a practice was looking to sell in the next 10 years. If you have your next supporting cast in place, they know how to run the ship without you, how much more valuable will your practice be? They also want to reduce operational bottlenecks, those headaches that we talked about in our breakout rooms, right? And those operational bottlenecks can be alleviated with creating a process and a plan to get those things done. They also want to add a new service line. Now, this is something that I hear a lot from a lot of my clients that I work with, is I want to add a subscription model. I want to start serving a different demographic of clients. Totally do that, right? But you also want to think about the resources that you need to potentially hire to deliver that service. Are you pricing that particular service at the right price point that's going to give you the highest return on your investment? And so these are some of the things that I initially have talked with my client about to help them get to a better place, a better understanding of how to implement some of these things. So how did they arrive? They were frustrated that the workflows were not working for them. How many of us have ever been in a situation where you have your CRM and the workflows are just not working for you? I've been there before, right? And so it's getting them to the place where they have clarified workflows, where they can hit a button in their red tail CRM and just have things pre-populate. How awesome would that be? But we got to get them to that point. They also had a desire to get out of the busy work of the practice. How many of us have been there where we're just so busy doing busy work, we're not sure if it's really moving the needle? And then really seeking automation to reduce manual work. Now I have to tell you, ladies, this is a big one. Automations are phenomenal when you figure out what you want your process to be. And so doing that heavy lift in the beginning, understanding what processes need to be in place, and then you can completely introduce automation into your practice. And let me tell you, when you do that, you talk about a wonderful day, because then a lot of those manual processes are taken care of for you. So let's talk about some of the outcomes and the benefits that our mutual client has received by working with me. They now have an office procedural manual. How about that? Actually having a roadmap and a formal document to run the firm so that if any new hires come in, they have the ability to get that roadmap and know how to do particular tasks within the company. We also talked about in our breakout room how it's important to set our people up for success. A lot of times people join companies, and let's just be honest, ladies, they learn trial by fire. When you have an office procedural manual, this really helps to set your people up for success. And then building standard operating procedures. And what this is a framework to help reduce errors and speed up efficiency. And then the last component, which is really where the transition from my work to Stephanie's work was really instrumental, is having workflow process for client onboarding. So when you think about how you work with a new client, right? Everything from that first discovery call to figuring out, how many meetings you should have with them to delivering your final deliverables. And so this is basically how you plan to deliver services to your clients. And so what does that look like? We're going to get in the weeds a little bit here. I hope that's okay. And how we actually translate workflows to your CRM, which is the next level of transformation. So I just talked about those workflow phases. In this particular instance, our client is 13. From scheduling a prospective client call to step 6, preparing for that planned delivery meeting, all the way to phase 13, delivering the client review meeting. And this is really the foundation of building those strong workflows. So phase 1 transformation, and I'm going to be turning it over to Stephanie in just a few moments here, is how does practice management show up in their firm? On an earlier slide, I talked about what practice management is. And regardless if you're running an advisory practice or an insurance agency, those 5 buckets apply to you. And what it does is it plugs the holes in your business systems. When you think about systematizing everything across your firm, having effective practice management can help plug those holes, avoid the overwhelm, avoid the frustration that a lot of us face in our practices. Bringing in outside experts to offer assistance where needed. So I'm great at the process development in those workflows, but I don't do any technology implementation. And so bringing Stephanie alongside me to support is another way how practice management shows up. And then properly evaluating the new service line before launching to avoid expensive rework. We get excited, myself included, when I think about different ways I can support my clients, but you want to make sure that you have the right time, the resources, and infrastructure in place to support that new service line so that it doesn't turn into a flop down the road. And then the last 2 components is ramping up their newest hire and taking a leadership role. We talked about preparing people and setting them up for success. By going through this process, they're absolutely doing that. And then the last one is having streamlined client service processes that takes the guesswork of how to work with clients. So now that I've kind of set the stage for how I started working with our mutual client, I'm going to turn it over to Stephanie to talk more about how she was able to take those workflows that I created with our mutual client and get them into that CRM. Stephanie?
Awesome. Thanks so much, Cameo. So I'm going to get a little bit more in the weeds as far as technology, but I'm going to keep it pretty high level because I know who all here uses a CRM, whether it's Redtail or I heard some other different ones. Can you type in what kind of CRM that you use in the chat box? While you're putting in your answers. Okay, Salesforce, Redtail, great. Good, I'm glad we have some Redtail users today. Salesforce, okay. Perfect. So yeah, so really my goal today is really to keep it high level. This mutual client that we had uses Redtail, so that's going to be our case study today. But the processes that I'm going to be discussing today can be used in any CRM. So for instance, the ones that Redtail currently has is reporting. So you're able to build reports, whether you're trying to figure out when a client, since they've been a client, running those reports, building workflows, notes, seminars. If you have an opportunities pipeline, you can put that into Redtail, as well as syncing your calendar, which can be very convenient. And then if you're on the go using a mobile app, and then lastly, integration. So that's probably the most powerful aspect of the CRM. The CRM can be your hub, and then being able to connect it to outside softwares can be really critical. All right, Cameo, next slide, please. Thank you. So really the top 3 reasons to optimize your customer relationship software. First is to really generate deep business insights on clients and prospects by creating reports on important metrics. So once your contact data is up to date, so that includes clients, COIs, anyone that you want into your database, you can really easily run reports to see what open activities your staff needs to complete, or how much assets under management was obtained in the last year from your prospects who converted over to being clients. So being able to run those reports is really pivotal. Second, increasing time efficiency and productivity by automating routine processes. How many of you out there have done the same process over and over, or your staff, putting in a trade ticket or something like that? So really being able to capitalize on your CRM software to automate a lot of those day-to-day tasks that your staff or yourself don't need to do, off the top of your head, being able to automate those. Building out those workflow note and activity templates can really save you a lot of time by having them be pre-populated. And then lastly, improving the quality of service you provide to your clients by centralizing their data to the client record. So between sticky notes and emails in your CRM, it can be difficult to manage a client relationship if your client's information is in a variety of different locations. So really centralizing their notes, their contact information, any other personal information in the CRM really allows you to be organized and really deliver the best client experience you can. So who all would love to save 10 plus hours a week by utilizing their CRM? I bet a lot of you. So there is a statistic out there that if you optimize your CRM to its top capabilities, you can save up to 10 hours, whether that's your time or your staff's time. So it's a lot of hours that you can be really utilizing to provide the best client experience and be more client facing. All right, Cameo, you can go to the next one. All right, so the case study. So from the customer relationship management software side of things, so when Cameo sent me over the client workflows were in Excel, which is great. Cameo did an awesome job of laying them out for me. And so we were able to translate those into the CRM. But, tasks before, according to the client, were via sticky notes or emails. They're a small team. There's only 3 of them. So they could essentially turn around in their chairs and tell each other the different tasks that needed to be completed. But certain tasks were falling through the cracks, and they were just afraid that as they grew and they brought on a successor, they didn't want that to be happening, and they really wanted to capitalize on the software that they had recently purchased. So during the process of working with them, we were able to translate Cameo's Excel spreadsheets into how they're built in the system. And we were also able to update their contact management to align with their client base. There was a lot of old data in there. I'm sure a lot of you have had demo data in your CRMs or anything outdated from maybe decades ago. And so being able to really hone in and make sure the data is up to date. So that way, then it sets them up for success to be able to run reports and be able to really capitalize on the best aspects of the CRM, which include workflows and task management. So being able to run activity reports, that was one thing that was critical for them. They wanted to go into their staff meetings on Monday and understand what tasks needed to be completed for the week before they would spend all this time, hours putting together what needed to be done for their clients. This way, they just click a couple buttons and now they can see what current tasks need to be completed for a variety of different clients, what client meetings are upcoming. It's just a matter of just going into the system now. So now with their workflows and activity templates, they're able to scale. So we've built them in a way that more and more people can be added to these workflows and activity templates. So yeah, very exciting. So yeah, so lastly, so the phase 2 transformation. So now they have the firm awareness of, what open tasks are needing to be completed, as well as where technology can be leveraged to decrease manual tasks. So as we talked about the CRM, we talked about integrations. There's a great mobile dictation software out there that they were able to capitalize on to work with Redtail. So that way, after a meeting, they could dictate the notes and it could be automatically transferred into the system. They also, through this process, have an increased confidence in knowing that they're serving their clients to the best of their abilities. And then, between Cameo's work as well as mine, fewer operational bottlenecks by streamlining their processes and increasing the automation potential. And then higher client retention. So by having these processes articulated and translated into the system, they have clients who will be more sticky and be part of their firm for many years, and the successor can then scale and build their business. All right, now I'm going to give it back to Cameo to talk about her free gift.
Yes, thanks, Stephanie. So ladies, that was a lot of information, and there's no possible way that we could really get in the weeds on everything. But hopefully this was enough information to really see the benefits of having workflows that really work for you, taking the time to figure out what you want your client experience to be. and working on your business when it makes the most sense, because at the end of the day, your business is going to take everything that you give it. And so I'd ask the question, how much care have you given your business in the last 6 months? And anyone can come off of mute and share that or throw it in the chat. This particular resource that I have, and Stephanie actually has one as well, I'm going to put it up here, is 7 tips to elevate your service model and raise client fees. And so when we look about this market that we're in, markets are going crazy, cost of living has gone up, inflation, et cetera. A lot of people are wondering, okay, I need to raise my fees, but how? These are actually 7 tips that you can implement within your practice to help support not only raising your fees today, but improving your business model and being able to incorporate raising your fees into your long-term business strategy. And so you can take out your phone and scan the QR code and get access to that immediately. And Stephanie?
Yep. So I also have a free gift of I put together it's Redtail specific, but it can be translated into any CRM, but templates that we talked about that I created for our mutual client, the different templates that includes workflows, notes, and activities, as far as best practices, including a variety of different examples that you can implement into your business today.
So with that, we'd like to thank everyone for your time. Actually, I'll leave the slide up in case anyone wants to scan it. Thank you for your time and attention today. We hope something was shared that has really, sparked your interest in how to improve your firm operations or your business operations, and really start to put away some of those challenges that we face on a day-to-day. And if anyone has any questions after today's session, our contact information is on this last slide here, and feel free to reach out. And Stephanie, if you have any words you want to share.
Yeah, no, thank you everyone for attending today. I hope everyone was able to take a little bit, a nugget, if you will, back to their business, whether it's on the operations side, but practice management that Cameo provided, or possibly a technical one on the CRM. But yeah, we were very happy to present to you. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to either of us.
So Cameo and Stephanie, I'm going to start with a question. How do you work with other firms and client privacy information?
That is a great question. I'll kick us off on that, Stephanie. So the work that I do is outside of the firm's client information. So I don't see any client information. I don't have to see, because the principles of practice management don't have anything to do with the client data. And I can inform my clients of how to work with their clients without knowing names or account information. That's a great question.
Mm-hmm. So I do see client information since I'm in Redtail, especially if they're connecting to their outside custodian or investment management software. So I provide a non-disclosure agreement upon our contract being signed. So that is the way that I protect both myself as well as the client.
Fantastic.
Recording in progress.
So who's fired up to start working on their business?
And that's a really good lead in, Cameo. But, with all of us, what is usually the consultative process of how you start working with somebody in terms of meeting them where they are? What's the time commitment? How does, we want to get into it, cost work, so that we have some real details in case any of us on the call want to start working on their business?
Great question, Betty. I will say that I absolutely meet my clients where they are. And what I do is I start by listening. What are some of the operational challenges that you're facing? Where are the pain points? Where's the bleeding? What's keeping you up at night? And providing an initial assessment from there. What I then do is, if an individual wants to work with me, is I provide a specific proposal based upon those pain points, as well as an hour's projection of how long it's going to take. Now, I will absolutely tell you business transformation, operationalizing and systematizing your practice on average takes firms a year or more, depending on how much time and energy you put into it. My process is accelerating that. And so we can get done as quickly as the leaders and the team are willing to pour into that particular process. But a lot of it is going to be determined by what are your pain points? You know, do you have a CRM that you're not using? Or are there workflows in your CRM that are not accurate, that are causing bottlenecks? Or has the team not adopted the technology in a manner that's going to be best for the firm? And so that assessment really provides, you know, that baseline, and then the proposal digs deeper into the process that I take my clients through in getting to that transformation.
Excellent. So it sounds like a more initial is consultative, and then it's a project, just like if you were to call in a general contractor or whoever, right? That you're just getting almost a quote.
Yeah, exactly. And I will tell you, on average, when I think about soup to nuts, there's probably about 7 phases that I take my clients through depending on size. And it covers all of those practice management buckets that we talked about. Because here's what happens when you get visibility of all of the work that needs to happen in your practice. You may say, oh my God, I need to hire. And not only do I need to hire, I know who to hire based upon the workflows. And then now I got to go and find that person. And then now I have to train that person. And so that's another kind of tangent in those practice management buckets that I absolutely talk with my clients about. But after the first 3 phases, which is that initial kind of project scope, they get a recommendation report. This is what I recommend you do from this point forward. And then this is how you do it. And then this is how I can help you get these other things done that we've identified in those subsequent phases. So it's very much managed like a project management plan.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm. Great question.
Anybody else have questions?
Cameo,
My questions came from Christina, actually.
well,
She
Cameo,
spurred it from our
I-
breakout session. So
I'm just sitting here and I'm like, I'm so tickled with everything because I feel like, oh my God, I thought I was alone in the trenches. And no, look, I've got this tribe of women, right, who are coming up against some of the same challenges and the same headaches. And I guess as a coach, right, as a business coach in my position, working with 38 State Farm agents. And I mean, we're talking 100 years, people. It was 100-year anniversary this year. So when you talk, and people who have been in the chair longer, literally longer than I've been alive. So Cameo and Steph, I pose this to both of you. How do you help your clients adopt a growth mindset? Is it like being an alcoholic where they have to get tired and fed up and put themselves in timeout like Betty and I do? Or do you do self-discovery questions?
okay, point of clarification, I'm not an alcoholic. Just point of clarification.
I like that, but the first step, right, is knowing you have a problem.
Yeah, but I'm just like,
yes. Betty and I are good friends outside of this, you guys. So forgive us.
yes. Well,
a little gravity here, but yeah, I'm curious, because it's like I'm leaning into self-discovery and in asking some of those really good questions to help them find their way. But if you two have any tips after doing what you're doing, I'm totally open.
Yes, Stephanie, you want to kick us off with that?
Sure. Yeah, I think the first thing I always do is I try and support not only the leader, but also the support staff and give them the confidence that they can go in and do the software. So really starting at the bottom and then working my way up, I try and make sure everyone is able to go into from the software standpoint. They're able to go in and then they're able to have that confidence that everything will happen and that they can be set up for success. Because like Cameo was saying earlier, that's our main goal, is to give them the confidence so that way they can go forward and be productive.
Mm-hmm. And what I do, Christina, is similar. So there's a questionnaire that I use in all my client engagements to get a sense of where the firm is and where the leader is, so that I know going into that kickoff call kind of where they're at. But I also share a case study. So there's a firm that I'm working with, 7-person in Lake Oswego, Oregon, and they came to me with team communication issues. On the surface, that was the issue. But when we looked under the hood, there were actually workflows that were not working for them. The team really wasn't being proactive in delivering client service, which was frustrating the lead advisors. And they weren't always communicating that to the team. And so I came in and really led the charge for that operational makeover, told the leadership up front, you need to figure out a way to let your team know what they're doing and if they're doing a good job. And so we took them, down training in that component. Also getting clarity of those workflows that I talked about. Everybody then knew how they fit in the puzzle. And what that did is that created excitement on the team. Fast forward 3 months, the team is now taking a proactive approach in the work that needs to get done. Leadership sees the change and is like, oh my God, this is great. They're also giving positive reinforcement and feedback to the team, which is then spurring them to want to do even more. And so it's like a domino effect, right? We think about the very first problem, we deal with that issue, and then it knocks down the next problem, then you have this acceleration of change. And I had a call with them just this week, and I said, how are things going? And they said, it's going wonderful. We love it. This person is doing wonderful. This reach out is happening. I don't have to ask 3 times for it. And so it's one of those it's an evolution, right? But that's exactly how the transformation happens. But I definitely start with pinpointing the problem. Tell people transformation is coming, but you've got to commit to the process. Let's set everyone up for success. And this is how you do it.
I think
I'm taking notes.
Good. Final question to wrap it up. A lot of us are on the call might be solo entrepreneurs, right? Where can we start to have that vision of greatness and work on the here and now and what we have to do? But what are some of the first steps that you suggest people as we look into fourth quarter and looking at planning to have that growth mindset and to be growing? What can they do since they're a solo entrepreneur, working with all these people that might not be in their control?
Great question, Betty. What I would share, and I'd say about 80% of my clients are solo practitioners in that bucket. And what I often tell them is, let's get reacquainted with your business vision. If you've lost sight of that, that is your guiding light. And it's not about somebody else's version of success. It's about what you want for yourself and for your family. So tap back into why you started your business, why you went out and launched your firm. What about doing this work motivates you so much that you want to continue to do it? So we start there. And then we also think about, well, what are your short-term goals and what are your long-term goals, right? Getting them re-engaged in figuring out the best tactical plan to get those goals done, and then show them exactly what can happen if you commit and are intentional about executing on these goals. And that usually starts this, as I mentioned earlier, this domino effect. People get excited, and the clarity of vision is everything, right? We often hesitate and don't move forward in our businesses when we lack clarity. And so I definitely help my clients get that clarity so that they can literally take off and run with it.
Yeah, the only other thing I would add is just having the low-hanging fruit. As a solo business practitioner, both Cameo and I can attest, there's a lot that you're doing. And so being able to really, have the time management, spend the time. I think this is a perfect time. This is the best opportunity to start for 2023, to really sit down, spend some time. I know some advisors that'll go to the woods or go wherever you really, have a relaxing time to be able to sit down and figure out what you want to do for the next year. Give yourself an hour, grab a coffee, grab a tea, and really focus on what you need to set yourself up for success and find out, okay, what are my top priorities? These are the 3 things I want to accomplish. So being able to find those low-hanging fruits, as well as not biting off too much more than you can chew, really just hone in, figure out what you want to accomplish, and then you can always build off of that. But I think having those articulated, spelled out, So that way you can set yourself up for success for the next years is critical.
Thank you both so much for such a wonderful presentation. I appreciate all of you jumping on the call because we do our best when we learn from each other. For our plug for our chapter, everybody on this call, please feel free to reach out to any one of us on the board, which is Alana, Julie, Carrie, me, Nancy, and also Divine, who was trying to get on and kept on getting cut off. But our chapter cannot continue to grow without input from all of you. I challenge all of you to reach out to us, help us with one task so that we can continue to propel and reach out. And Julie will know that I'm kind of old school, so I'm gonna say it's the Herbal Essence commercial, right? We wanna tell 2 friends and they tell 2 friends, and we wanna continue this network from growing. Thank you for laughing at me, Christina. So thank you again, everybody, for joining, and look forward to seeing everybody live in the pods. Thank you, Steph and Cameo, for a great presentation. And
Thank
good
you,
takeaways.
everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, ladies.
Great meeting, gals. Hi, Carrie. You're on mute.
Hi there, how are you?
I'm doing great, thanks. How are you?
I'm well. I feel like it's been forever since we've spoken.
I know. Well, we've had these meetings that have since been canceled or pivoted or moved elsewhere. So yeah, things are going well. We're excited for conference next week.
Yes,
Yes.
for sure.
So I'm going to send out, because I want to go ahead and send out a member email to get response of who else is going to conference, because I don't have that information. I don't know if we have that information anywhere other than the board. I know the whole board is going to conference, but I don't know if any of our other members are. So I figured I'd send them out an email this week just to get that feedback. I had talked with Alana about us maybe putting together a WhatsApp group or a something, so that those of us from our chapter that are going to be in Phoenix have a means to, communicate kind of with the group as a whole. If anybody is trying to connect and, want to go to the pool or want to go grab a drink or whatever, that way, we feel like we're connected. I think for those of us in the board, that's a whole lot easier. For anybody that's not in the board, like for them to feel just as included. So I think that would be a good thing. Yeah. How'd you feel about the meeting today?
It was great. It was a great topic. I think that we're all in different places in our own businesses, but I believe that they touched on something that each and every one of us can identify with.
Agreed. Yeah, for various points and situations. I agree. Yeah, it was very excuse me, it was very well done. Given how they had presented themselves and let us know who they were, I feel like my introduction was kind of unnecessary. I went on about things that they did a really good job of talking to themselves. So it was nice that they did enough intro so that we could really get their whole picture. They did a great job. They were great presenters.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I have to jump. I have a scheduled call at 2 o'clock, but it was great catching up with you, and hopefully we'll catch up more at either before or at the conference.
Yeah, I think Thursday at 2, right? Did that meeting ever get rescheduled? Because I think Thursday at 2, we're supposed to meet back up for that ad hoc board meeting.
Yes.
Okay, I'll see you then. Bye.
Bye.